And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back #1 New York Times bestselling author Lee Goldberg for the fourth time, here to give us the inside scoop on his brand new book and the start of a brand new series, Malibu Burning. Lee Goldberg, what's this book about?
It's great to be here, by the way, because it looks so much like my own home. I feel very comfortable being on this show. It's like I'm sitting at my desk in my underwear talking to you. What's the book about? It's a police procedural, and it's a big, wild, over-the-top heist novel. I've been writing police procedurals for a while, but I want to get back to doing the kind of heist, con, adventure novels I was doing when I wrote the Ian Ludlow books and when I wrote with Janet Ivanovich. This is my way to marry the two and create sort of a hybrid thriller. And I'm never going to do that again. God, that was hard. But the results, I hope, are really exciting and will appeal to people who like both police procedurals and big heist novels like Donald Westlake used to write.
Like me. This is my love language. Big heist, police procedurals, ding, ding, ding. Well, I can't wait to get into every delicious detail. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who is joining us. So we are live to 6 different destinations. So hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make them a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, friends. We're so happy to have you. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors. You get to ask them anything. So ask Lee Goldberg about what his writing process is like, what this new series is his vision for it, heists, police procedurals, writing with Janet Ivanovich. Lee has a lot of incredible insights on the writing process. So this is your chance to ask him craft questions. Anything that's weighing on your brain, you want to ask Lee Goldberg, get it going in the question. Sharon Bishop joining us from YouTube. She says, howdy again and welcome, Lee.
Hey, Sharon, glad to be here. So throw your question at me. Anything you want. You know, I can give you marital advice. I can fix your car. We can talk about gardening. Whatever's on your mind. Don't feel limited by what Sara just told you. I'm all encompassing. Let's tackle religion. Let's tackle sex. Let's tackle veterinary skills. Whatever you want, I'm here for you.
Lee is willing to do. Wait, Lee has married a French woman, so you know.
Has married? I've been married for 35 years to this French woman. It's not a new development.
Okay, Lee has been successfully married for 35 years to a French woman. So this is a man who probably knows a few things about marriage and
I deserve the Nobel Peace Prize.
Although, Lee, is it true that your wife has said that while you are very good at writing women characters, she doesn't understand how this can be since you know so little about women in real life?
Yes, she has said that with that accent. Why can't you be like the women you write instead of the men I'm married? I know from Monk that you know how to clean shit up. Why don't you do it?
So why don't you, Lee?
It's fiction.
Oh, okay. Robin joining us from Facebook saying hello all. Hi, Robin. Welcome to the conversation. Gabrielle joining us from YouTube. She says, hi, Gabrielle. She wants to know, Lee, what inspires you?
What inspires me most is that mortgage invoice I get every single month. The MasterCard bills, the Visa bills. Yes, writing is a creative art, but for me, it's a business. It's how I support my family. If I don't write, we can't pay the bills. And that's a great motivator. It gets you past all those obstacles you create for yourself not to write. And believe me, I still throw a lot of them in my path, but it's hard to be stopped by them when you have monthly payments and things. That's the difference between someone who writes for a living and someone who writes for fun or as a hobby.
Lee, let's talk about that, because do you ever find yourself crushed by the pressure of trying to be creative under deadline or under pressure? Because as you said, it is an art and it is a creative endeavor, but when you make it a business, when you embrace the opportunity to make it a business, how do you balance that? What do you do when on the days the words don't come? Or do you simply this far into your career just not have those days anymore?
I know the words will come. I've been fortunate that I've been writing my entire life. That's how I put myself through school. That's how I paid for. I mean, I've been doing this now so long. I know the words will come. So if I have a bad day, I don't sweat it too much. I mean, I wrote books even when I had 2 broken arms. I mean, I find a way to make my deadlines. I have never missed a deadline in my life, and I think that's a good thing to have contracts. That's why I want a contract. I don't like writing on spec because I like having a contract and a deadline because it forces me to push through all the whining and treading narrative water you can do instead of actually writing. This forces you forward. It forces you to make a decision in your writing, because whenever you're writing a scene or a plot, there's always 50 different ways you can go, and you can get terrified by all the options. You have to pick one and go with it. And the ticking clock forces me to produce. Though, to be honest, you can't see it on camera here. Well, you can a little bit with that poster strategically placed in the back. And I'm not talking about Ultraman. I have some of my book covers and credits on the wall, not because I want to impress strangers who might wander into my office, but to remind myself in my more terrified moments that, Lee, you've done it before. Look up on the wall. You've done it. You'll do it again. Go watch an episode of Columbo or something. Take it easy. You know, sometimes I find if I'm too stressed out, the key is just to walk away from the computer, to put my mind on something else, to actually help my wife bring the laundry upstairs. You know, to get my mind off of whatever the problem is.
So, Lee, when you had 2 broken arms and yet continue to write, how did you do that? Did you dictate to your French wife and she dutifully wrote it down? Did you speak into a dragon, dictation machine? Like how did this happen?
I use Dragon, simply speaking. And so the early days of that software, I had no choice. It was like being in a straitjacket. So I dictated. I was working on a TV series at the time too. So it was really tough. I was rewriting scripts and writing a book while also having 2 broken arms. It's no fun. But the problem is that editor I had when I had the 2 broken arms moved to the next publisher I was working with. And now they won't accept any excuse if I wanted to turn in something late. Oh, Lee did a book with 2 broken arms. We don't care if he's got COVID. We don't care if his house fell down around him. We don't care if he had to evacuate. He'll get the book done. They don't worry about my deadlines. They don't mind giving me draconian, god-awful deadlines.
That is fair.
Which they have done. I'm trying to remember. I think Malibu Burning was a book I had to write in 90 days for contractual reasons. It's tough.
Oh my God, you wrote this in 90 days?
Oh, I've had worse. I mean, the Diagnosis, Murder, and Monk books, I wrote them all in 90 days. There was a time when I was writing 4 books a year. I'd turn one book in, take the weekend off, and start another. And that was while I was doing a TV show at the same time, too. And I could pull that off because I wasn't at home. We were shooting on location at the time. I was in Canada and I was also in Germany. So I was away from home, and in a way writing the books was a way to deal with my homesickness and being away from my family. But when I got back, I stopped that right away. Now I write 2 books a year. I write basically in the best of all possible worlds. It takes me 5 months to write a book. Then I take a month off, a couple weeks to relax and a couple weeks to plot the next book. I am at my happiest writing 2 books a year. If I'm not writing 2 books a year and some scripts, I just get anxious. I'm happiest when I'm writing. I joked about the mortgage and how it's a business, and that's all very true. But I love writing. I'm not happy if I'm not writing. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. It dawned on me the other day, in fact, that I'm doing exactly the same thing now that I was doing when I was 12 years old. I'm sitting here telling stories, listening to movie and TV soundtracks, and eating crap. That's...
Exactly. It's your dream come true, Lee.
It is. I want to go back in time and tell little Lee, you're going to be doing this in 30, well, maybe a little bit longer, but 30 years. You'll be doing this in 30 years, and you'll still be loving it. And best of all, someone will be paying you for it. And even more unbelievable, people will be reading it or watching it.
I love that. George joining us from Houston, Texas. Oh, he's letting us know Facebook is having technical issues, so he is joining us from YouTube now. George, thank you for letting us know, and thank you for your persistence. I hope everybody migrates over to YouTube. Robin saying, I hope you enjoy your craft as much as paying those pesky bills.
Actually, joking aside, there's a great deal of pleasure that comes from paying a bill through your imagination, if that makes sense. Knowing that that what I wrote, the stories I tell, is what's paid for this house and everything. I don't believe it. I'm the luckiest SOB I know. That actually what I dreamed of doing when I was a kid came true. Um, if I whine and complain at all about what I do, you should hate me because I have no excuse for doing that.
Well, I think it's really great that you get to do, that you get to do this, what you love, and that you got that little Lee's dream came true, and you get to do the same thing. George saying 4 books a year, now 2 books a year. He's a monster. He is a monster. He's a writing machine.
But what I did not expect, even though I write 2 books a year, through the vagaries of publishing, which I won't bore you about, it was 14 months between books. My last Eve Ronin novel, Movie Land, came out in June of 2022, and I haven't had a book out until this last week with Malibu Burning in September. Now I have a new book coming out in 8 weeks, another book coming out 8 weeks after that. It's the 3 books I wrote are all coming out squished together, and it's a strange, scary experience. I've got Malibu Burning right now. I've got Calico coming out in November. And I've got the new Eve Ronin novel, Dreamtown, coming out in January. And then the sequel to Malibu Burning, which I've already written, comes out in September of 2024. I'm supposed to start writing now my next book, but I'm going to announce here that I have no ideas. I've lost it.
George,
and I'm going to be working at the Arby's in Van Nuys. Come see me. I have this cute little hat I'll be wearing.
We will come see you. George Beach is right. You are a monster. Robin saying that is mind-boggling to write 4 books a year. Jane wants to know, will there be more Eve books?
Oh, yes. As I mentioned just a moment. By the way, I'm not writing 4 books a year now. I'm writing 2. The next Eve Ronin novel comes out in January. It's called Dreamtown, already available for pre-order. And Eve Ronin is going to be appearing in the sequel to Malibu Burning in September of 2024. The book's called Ashes Never Lie. It's also already available for pre-order, and it's an Eve Ronin, Sharpen Walker crossover. So okay. Eve Ronin will be returning, and Sharpen Walker, the protagonist of Malibu Burning, will be returning as well.
Okay, so good to know that there will be more Eve books for Jane and the other Eve Ronin fans, because I think we launched that series together, right, Lee? Like you launched that.
You ghost wrote the first 2 books for me while I was on a chase lounge in Hawaii.
No, I mean, you came on Mystery and Thriller.
I know.
That, and here we are 4 years later. Lee, up in Malibu Burning, Sharon wants to know, do you have a favorite chapter or scene? No spoilers, obviously.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that way. I think the book as a whole, I don't think of it in terms of
You must have a favorite scene.
Not that I can think of. Favorite scene? Not really.
I'll tell you my favorite scene.
Okay, and I'll tell you if I agree. How's that?
Okay. My favorite scene is at the beginning of the book, and I am a dog person. So my favorite scene is when the dog comes along right after the arrest is made and pees on his bike. Lee, I laughed out loud. And then he says, it could have been worse. He could have peed on you.
If you like dog scenes, I have a scene in my book, My Gun Has Bullets. I have 2 dogs in that book. I have one dog that's a star of a TV series and is very difficult to deal with. And I have another character in that book, a network executive with hair issues, who has a golden retriever hair surgically transplanted to the top of his head. It's the only thing that will flourish there. And that book did well. It was a successful book for me.
Well, I mean, you're a dog person, and that your fondness for dogs can be felt in the pages of many of your books. But that scene did make me laugh out loud.
I've had dogs all my life. There was one point just a few years ago where we had 3 dogs. Right now we just have 1. But yeah, we always have dogs.
Sharon says, listen, if you can always feel free to pay her bills. Exactly. We can just keep writing more and more books.
I'm paying enough bills. I'm paying my daughter's bills, my bills. That's plenty.
Robin saying, oh, good. Yes. Enjoy your successes. This is so great. Absolutely. I agree. Lee, I want to get to some of the amazing praise that this book has racked up. And let's kick off with none other than the great Mark Greaney. He is, of course, the author of the Gray Man series. And I'm just scrolling through to find now where I have put this because they were getting so many comments.
I can paraphrase for you. He
said
said Lee Goldberg is perhaps the greatest author since Shakespeare, if only Shakespeare wrote characters who were cops.
No, he didn't say perhaps.
He didn't say that?
Definitely. Okay. He said definitely.
And did he mention that I gave him a key piece of advice in that blurb? He wanted to call his series The Pink Man. And I said, no, gray. To deal with the grayness of his emotions and the world he moves through. And he fought me on it. He said, the purple man. It has to be gray. And it worked.
No, you're holding him back. We're in the age of Barbie. If he had gone with the pink man, his success would be 10x what it is.
That's true.
Because he changed it to gray on your advice, he's only as successful as
I thought gray would appeal to everybody. It's not a polarizing color.
He says Malibu Burning is a blistering thrill ride full of Southern California thieves, cops, and firefighters, all facing high stakes and imminent danger. Superbly researched and told, fast-paced and downright fun. This is Lee Goldberg at his best. Congratulations on that rave review from Mark Greaney, #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Gray Man. George Beach wants to know, did you know about the guy in Egypt who has a full dog suit and spends a day walking around as this dog because he likes to get pets?
That's actually me. That's what I do when I'm not writing. No, I've never heard about that. And the thing is, if I were to write something like that, my editor would say, Lee, come on, get real.
And that's what I like about nonfiction. I can lean in. Gabrielle wants to know, Lee, if you could co-author a book with any author except Janet Ivanovich, I'm adding that part. Who would it be? And actually, I'm going to take my part out.
My wife has forbidden me from doing any more co-authored books.
Wait, who has?
My wife.
Why?
Well, I don't want to get into the weeds of co-authoring, but she just wants me to write for me. That she wants me to own everything I write, and co-authoring. You're basically, whether it's Clive Cussler or James Patterson or any other major author, you're still bolstering their franchise and their industry rather than your own, which I don't mind doing with Janet. She's an old dear friend. I loved writing those books, but I left after 5, not because we had any acrimonious split or the books weren't successful, but after 5, I pretty much achieved what I hoped to achieve. And I had all these other books I wanted to write. I wanted to write Lost Hills. I wanted to write true fiction. I wanted to write Calico, and I couldn't do it as long as I was writing these co-authored novels. And one of the great, and it's also true of writing things like Monk or Diagnosis Murder or any other IP that is not my own. I'm not going to do that in books anymore. I'll do it in television. That's the nature of TV, but I won't be doing it in books anymore. The joy for me in books now is expressing myself and not answering to anyone but me, and succeeding on my own or failing on my own. I mean, I had a great deal of fun writing with Janet Ivanovich. It was wonderful. I learned so much. We laughed. We had a great time. But at the end of the day, I wanted to have a solo career. And there are lots of pluses and minuses to co-authoring. I did the reverse too. I had a series at Amazon a few years ago called The Dead Man, a series that I created with William Rabkin. And we hired writers to write books with us. And we did 24 novels in that series where we co-authored with other writers. And that was great. There's a lot to be said about co-authoring, especially in television where it's a collaborative medium. But no, I don't dream of co-authoring with any other author.
Except Sara DiVello.
Well, you already wrote 3 books for me. I mean, I've been coasting on your talent for a while now. Then you had to go off and write Broadway Butterfly and leave me to sink or swim on my own.
My coattails are getting tired of carrying you. John Hubert joining us from Northeast Ohio. John, welcome to the conversation. So great to have you. George says the guy in the dog suit doesn't talk at all. He acts like a dog all day. Lee, is this you?
Isn't it obvious? While you were reading all that stuff, I was licking my ass. Didn't you notice?
Lee, next time when you come back for the next Eve Ronin series, please wear the dog suit and stay in character.
joking aside, you can see the poster over. I can't get this right with the camera flip-flopped on my screen, but the Lost Hills poster behind me. There was a protagonist or a bad guy, whatever you want to say, in that book, who had a gorilla suit in his closet that was never quite explained. So I understand the inclination to dress up as animals.
Exactly. Lee, this book got earned a starred review from Library Journal, who praised your ability to write a fast-paced, over-the-top caper that entertains while keeping readers guessing.
May I brag about one other thing?
Please do.
I haven't bragged at all yet, but
yeah,
I got another starred review this week from Library Journal as well for the audiobook version of this book. They loved it. And I have to agree with them. I listened to it on my way to and from BoucherCon last week. It's narrated by Eric Conger, who just did an exceptional job. In fact, he was so good, I actually forgot I wrote the book. I was just pulled along into it by his voice and the way he performs. And I'm just thrilled that he'll be narrating not only the sequel to this book, but he shares narration in Calico as well.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
With Nicole Zanzarella, who narrates all my Eve Ronin novels.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Publishers Weekly also raving Goldberg's well-drawn characters will keep readers rooting for both the crooks and the cops. And he hangs everyone's fates on a clever, complicated con. The result is as explosive as wildfire. See what they did there? I like that. Congratulations on that. Kirkus also weighing in with a rave, saying Goldberg returns to the wildfire he memorably chronicled in Lost Hills from a strikingly new angle, a business-like thriller that shows how rewarding it can be to revisit the same story from a new point of view. Congratulations on that. And the praise just keeps going. Best Thriller Books raving about your ability to write action-packed and captivating in a book in Malibu Burning. And I'm going to pop this up. Once again, Lee Goldberg delivers I'm scrolling down to get the whole thing, delivers a fast-paced, entertaining novel with well-constructed characters and an intriguing plot. So Lee, let's talk about your plotting and your creative process. Tell us about creating these well-constructed characters and intriguing plots of yours. Do you outline them? Do you just go with the flow? Tell us about that.
No, I'm a big believer in outlining. It's one thing just to get in your car and drive. It's another thing to get in your car and know you're going to New York. I mean, you can find different ways of getting to New York, but at least you know where you're going. In fact, it's a good idea to know at least at the beginning, I'm going to take the 10 freeway all the way. Doesn't mean you're not going to deviate and take other routes and have things happen to you, but at least you know where you're going. My faith in outlining, or my tradition of outlining, probably comes from TV, because it's a requirement when you write for television to outline your stories, because the outlines have to get approved by the studios and the networks. And then while you're writing, a whole bunch of people are building sets and casting and finding locations, everything, and budgeting based on your outline, and you have to stick to it. So it's a good idea. For me, it's nice to know exactly where I'm going. And for a mystery, I think it's essential to know exactly where the clues are and how you're going to hide them and how you're going to misdirect and how you're going to resolve the story. That said, I think of my outlines as living outlines, because I don't stick to them slavishly. As I'm writing, I come up with new ideas, and I find myself rewriting the outline. So I finish my outline about 2 or 3 weeks before I finish my books, usually. That's why I call them living outlines. They're always changing. I have my outline right here. I have one right now next to me beside my computer, so that I know where I'm going each day. As far as where do I start my books, with the exception of Malibu Burning, my books usually start with a character that intrigues me. I have a notion for this character, and then I come up with a story that I think will reveal this character and challenge the character and spark conflicts and push this character to his or her limits and create drama or comedy, whatever I'm going for. And so I kind of reverse engineer the plot. In this case, I knew I wanted to tell a heist story, and I knew I wanted to tell a police procedural. And the challenge was how to do the two without the audience getting ahead of me. And then I've always had this notion of a heist I could pull off during a monstrous wildfire. I've been carrying this idea around for a while, but I thought, I can't really do a wildfire because Lost Hills ended with a wildfire. I'd just be repeating myself. And then I thought, what if it's the same wildfire? What if I look at that wildfire from two different angles? It'll give you a way to look at Lost Hills from an entirely different perspective. And it solved the police procedural problem for me because I wasn't stuck with another typical homicide detective. I could write about arson investigators, which I have not seen written about in crime fiction. The only problem with that is I had to learn about arson investigation. I knew nothing about that. As far as heists go, I've done so many heist novels. That's my happy place. And they're very complicated to plot. And I have a spreadsheet and stuff so I can track it all. And that's just fun. I really enjoy that. So it was marrying the two, the police procedural and the heist. And then I had to do an enormous amount of research to learn about fire and to learn about arson investigation. I was in the midst of that wishing I hadn't done it because there's so much work, so much reading, so many interviews. And then you set that all aside because you don't want to splurt all that exposition out in your book just to prove, hey, look at all the research I've done. I want to absorb it so that it's imbued in my characters and it comes out naturally in what they say and do rather than me having a giant paragraph of explanation. But I do have to have some explanation so that the reader understands how arson investigation is done. What I try to find are those really cool kernels, those really cool bits, so that I create this aura of believability so that I can just snow you with absolute unbelievable crap and you'll believe it's real. I want you to suspend your disbelief. And I do that by creating an aura of truthfulness and credibility, which is entirely fake.
Well, it's working, Lee.
How do you type that stuff so fast, Sarah? I mean,
these fingers fly. These fingers fly. Robin wants to know, Lee, since you worked in TV and speaking and as referred to your the need to outline. She says, speaking of writing for TV, how can we help to end this strike with acceptable results?
Send letters to the studios and networks demanding that writers get paid a fair wage, that writers get residuals in healthcare, also that they don't obliterate the writer's room. I won't get you into the whole arcane reasons why that will destroy not only writing as a profession for television, but also it's suicidal for the studios because they're not training the next generation of showrunners. But we should share in the success of a TV show or a movie. If you write a movie that makes $1 billion, they shouldn't begrudge you another 100,000 to thank you for creating the movie that has made them $1 billion, or a TV series that has made them a fortune. What the writers are asking for right now is, in a sense, the bare minimum in order to keep television writing as a profession and not the gig economy. I'm very fortunate in that I have two careers, TV writing and book writing. If I had to rely solely on TV writing, I'd be in terrible shape right now. I know a lot of people who are in danger of losing their homes or who are in the process of it, but their desire to fight this has not dimmed because they realize what they're fighting for is not incremental raise or something petty. It's the very future of writing for television and film as a profession. That's why we're calling this an existential inflection point. It's not just about salary. It's about so much more. The way we're consuming entertainment is changing. And in fact, some of this is creeping over into publishing too, with the rise of ebooks and book borrowing and all the other sort of things that are happening in the digital space for publishing. But I go on about this for hours. It's too much in the weeds for all of you. All you want are great books and TV shows. So write the studios, write the networks, and say, give the writers and actors what they want so we can keep watching NCIS.
Thank you for that succinct and digestible.
That was succinct and digestible?
Yeah,
I thought I was rambling. I'm going to go put on my dog suit and lick my butt instead.
No, that was really good because I think, we all want the writers to be compensated fairly, and we all want the shows to get back to filming because we love them and we miss them. So thank you for giving us specific actionable items that we can jump in and help for, because I think a lot of us are standing here feeling very far away from LA, very far away from Hollywood, powerless and not thinking we can do anything. So Robin, thank you for the great question. And Lee, thank you for the great answer. The mystery user saying, I just finished Calico and will be reading or listening to more books from Lee. Yay. Just making sure I don't miss anybody's comment. I'm scrolling backwards here.
Calico, we're here talking about Malibu burning, but Calico, everyone talks about a passion project. I've been wanting to write Calico for years.
Really?
And the idea of it just scared the crap out of me. And I kept blaming other things for why I couldn't write it yet. Oh, I got too many contractual commitments. I just don't have the time. And then the pandemic hit and I was between contracts. I had no excuse and wrote it. It's I don't know if I already said this in the interview, but it's a modern day police procedural and a period Western that share the same dead body. And it was a nightmare to write and a research hell as well. But it's probably the book at the moment closest to my heart, only because I've carried it with me for so long and writing was so scary for me.
Well, we are glad that you overcame your fear. George saying Lee likes to use the word crap a lot. I thought I would select my profile photo to something my wife did to me in his honor, which says, "Holy crap, Batman." Thank you, George, for that. And Robin saying, thank you for all the good information about the strike. Mike O says it was really good. Oh, thank you for that. And you guys, I just want to remind you that Malibu Burning is out now. So here is the link. No matter where you're watching from on Facebook or YouTube, grab your copy of Lee's Malibu Burning. Making sure I'm holding it up the right way. This is the first book in his brand new series. Now, Lee, are you envisioning a 3-book series? Or is this going to be a case carpet?
It's not even envisioning. Book number 2 is finished, and I'm supposed to start writing book number 3 any minute now. I have a deadline for it, so I should be writing. I just have lost all my creativity and will be babysitting now for a living.
Well, thank you for stepping away from the desk long enough to give us the inside scoop on Malibu Burning, and we're so excited to chat with you again and to get all of the to hear all of get all of our most pressing questions answered. Leslie Zemeckis and the Montecito Journal deems this a scorching hot thriller that delivers on all the heat. I like all these fire puns.
So do I. I ran out of ways to say fire. It's so hard in my book. I had all these synonyms for fire and blaze and inferno. It's like, God, I need to create new words for fire. Ziggly-dooch. That's my new word for fire. I mean, I don't know. It was so hard to describe flames after a while.
Well, Megan Abbott says that this book is by turns tense and rambunctious, which could also be said of the author. Tense and rambunctious, Lee Goldberg. I just made that up. She says, wildly entertaining. This actually could be about you. And breakneck pace. Lee Goldberg's splendid Malibu Burning is pure storytelling pleasure from beginning to end. That is a rave review from Megan Abbott. She is the Edgar Anthony Thriller Award and LA Times Book Prize winning author of The Turnout. Congratulations on that rave review. Y'all, we are out of time. Time flies when you're having fun, and you're always having fun when Lee Goldberg is in the house. Lee, thank you so much for coming in to give us the inside scoop on Malibu Burning. And
my pleasure. And congratulations on all the success of your book. You'll have to let me interview you.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, Lee, we should switch sides of the table and you could grill me up real good.
There you go.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy. You guys, the praise, Robin is saying, incredible, congratulations on all of these excellent reviews. And Robin, I put the rest in the comments because there's just too many to fit in, but Ace Atkins also chiming in with the praise. George saying, thank you, Sarah, for bringing Lee to us again. I enjoy his interviews. Right, George? Isn't Lee a rollicking good time? Lee Goldberg is always a rollicking good time. I don't know how to
take that. Lee is a rollicking good time.
You feel free to put that on the front cover of your next book.
I will. I may wear that on a shirt. I'm a rollicking good time. Don't know if my wife will like me doing that. But.
No, it should be a face tattoo. Why stop at a shirt? Go for the face tattoo. Lee Goldberg is a rollicking good time. You should lead with that, Lee. And Simon Gervais even saying this is a book that he couldn't put down. Lee Goldberg is a master when it comes to plotting, building tension, and writing heart-pounding action. So congratulations on all of this and so many more, Lee. And for your next 2 books coming out in 8 and 16 weeks, we can't wait to hear more about those. Thank you as always. And please come back and turn the tables. George is saying, turn the tables, Lee. Turn the tables.
Yeah, but I can't type those comments as fast as you are. And pay attention to what's being said.
Hey, not exactly. This is a skill. Y'all, thank you for joining us for Mystery Monday. I will see you next week. I hope you have a killer week. Until then.